Hello there, everyone, and hey there, Awe. Welcome, and do feel free to lurk. We're going to be continuing our game dev project today, and hopefully, we're going to find out why the old movement code is fantastically expensive compared to a very similar operation. Before we do, also, hello, Oleg. Welcome. Let's check in with the kitties. We do have Ember, Sky, and Mason visible. Oh, no, there's Sammy, too. Sammy is down in the play area sitting next to one of the jars of treats. Yeah, dude, I figured the title would be a good difference. A little clearer. Also figured updating the thumb after a bit would be a decent idea. I'll have to figure out some other stuff I can do with it. Oh, man. Sammy decided she had places to go. Oh, but hopping right in. Oh, last time, we got our rendering, I think, as tight as we're going to get it. But so we refined the kill zone a little bit. We refined the spawn area a little bit. This is generally working fine, but if we go into our, where is it? Test render. We're going to go into our physics process, and previously, movement move. Pretty bright lights, but it is just a little. It's about 3:30 p.m. When the light is coming through the window that the cats can look out of, it does look very bright. But the room that the cats are in is generally very dark, actually. Copper? Is that actually a question? What is a Vtuber? $22, huh? Pretty late at night over there. So hello, Copper. So here we go through each of our movement modifiers, and we pass along and say, like, hey, this is where we want to move currently, and this is the thing that's moving. And each of those movement modifiers takes that and does a thing. Example, move straight line. I do like... all of my clocks actually show time like that, Awe. So my clock right now is, 15:34. I like it because it's clearer, because where I work from has only that one window. So unless I go elsewhere, I'm not going to see, like, what time of day it actually, like, what time of day it would be if I looked and just saw, oh, it's 3. Unless I see that PM, I'm not going to know. Each one of these goes through, it sets its movement, tells the entity, here's your target movement, here's your target movement. All right, Awe, thanks for swinging through. And Copper, if that was an actual question, Vtuber is what you're looking at right now, it is usually an avatar instead of like an actual camera of a person, or even lack of a camera of a person. This. To some extent, it is still it is already a well-established concept, but it's a content divider, let's say, still. There are quite a few people that were very shocked when Gargura was so prominently featured in a streaming award. And hello, Lewis. So why this so expensive? Call thing.move, and each entity, when it moves. So we're saying, like, hey, our position, the movement that we're going to use is just the direction to the player times speed times delta. If we were to use movement, it would be this. But this doesn't seem terribly expensive. It's roundabout for what we're doing. So why? And why do we get a bunch of errors for it? Oh no, Lewis, we're still making the game. My streams have been mostly making the games. Once if I can get the whole sleep in time thing wrangled, then there will be more gaming streams as well. Gaming and other stuff. Someday in the future, maybe we'll get some model painting streams too. Is there anything lingering in here that's going to cause a problem? No idea, Lewis. Max speed, we set the velocity every time we call move. Yeah, so every time we're moving, we're getting this error set. There's something extra. There's something extra going on here. So, like, what we were testing before is we would just move all of them. So, like, that's what we're doing right now, is we're saying, hey, just move them all towards the player. That's what the blobs are doing. And each of them is calculating what their individual direction to the player is. Well, welcome back, Don. And that seems fine. What if we do this? Create a whole bunch. Then we stop. Okay, there is something about this process entirely that is causing the problem. Rock, the agenda today is to try to figure out if we can get our modular movement in. The reason that we want to do modular movement is that we want to create a weapon model that is akin to Noida. Or, what would it be? Magicraft or bioprototype or that kind of thing. Where you essentially have little things that you socket in order. So, for example, you might have a weapon that normally flies in a straight line, but you could put a modifier on it that made it so that it homes in on a target, or that it flies in an S-curve, that kind of stuff. Or that it fires 3 at once. We want to try putting that in instead of having fixed weaponry. But something about the way we were doing the movement is making it super slow. So how are we going to do this? Now, we could make it a series of callables. Right, Rock, that's the idea. Is when we get a power-up, we have the option of, here's a new starting weapon, or would you like to change one of your existing weapons to do something a little different? Hey there, dude. This script is supposed to go in and say, for each of these little segments of movement logic, create a single cohesive type of movement. But in doing this, it's causing problems. So let's look at our entity code. Is there anything about this? Because this is fine. And we're initializing just fine. But it seems like maybe this chunk of stuff is causing issues. We put this in. We're not using these, we're just instantiating them. There are more of these than you can actually see. Anything past this circle you can't see. And we're not spawning too many of them right now. Okay. So we've been creating and removing a lot of them. Let's make more of them. 3,000 is normally another safe marker. We're still doing okay. We aren't leaking anything yet. Now we're going to escape out, and that... Oh, okay. Right here, area set transform has had a problem. A huge part for the past, like, couple weeks, I think, dude, we've been working on performance improvement. So we can have about we can easily have 3,000 things in existence without too much performance cost. Okay, we're going to stop this. And if we remove that, we run this way, we escape, we remove the game world, and it's still breaking down here. But the game world should be gone as soon as that happens. So we have lingering problems. None of these are nodes. And we're not even invoking movement. Hey there, Aaliyah. Do I remember Flippy? I do recall seeing a Flippy in chat. I think last time. I mean, I don't know that it would ever be popular enough for people to want to do the, hey, can I run Doom on a toaster kind of thing, but how about... Oh, hey there, Okaneki. Haven't seen you in a bit. Okay, we are going to do a debug print here. Okay, this will spam for a bit. So it's costing us a lot because we are overflowing. But now we're going to escape. It continues to make more of them. Okay, so it's not here. Why is it still making more? The creation of Doom predates the idea of making game engines in general. There is a limit to the number of things that can be created, but the idea that it was making more of them and trying to move them after the game world has been removed from the tree is weird. Lewis, I already answered that question. I do remember a person named Flippy. They were in the last chat. Any further spamming of identical questions after they have been answered may be met with consequences. Remove it. Okay, just test movement existing is a problem. Okay. Then in entity remove, Just this existing is a problem. See? Well, for those of you that are not looking through the teeny tiny mode, the debugger says it is spamming errors. Just this entity existing is a problem. Wait. Okay, we set it to self. Then test movement dot entity to move is equal to null. Test movement is equal to null. Escape, still spamming. If test movement never sets this, I think that's the issue. Yes. Okay. Why does doing this make the problem? In theory, this would prevent this entity from leaving existence. It has a self-reference at that point. But nulling it doesn't seem to make it go away. An entity itself is not like a node or something. That's okay, Okaneki. Lots of people come through and just lurk. They listen to what I'm doing and listen to the music. So why is this happening? What if we don't store that off in movement? What if instead we just pass it in? Because the movement doesn't move independently anymore. It used to. It do not no more. So float would be to move as a entity, comma, and it no longer has an entity to move. Whatever is passed into it okay. Well, hello, White Wolf. Oh, thank you. Cat wasn't on camera. We must find Kitty Cat. All right. You know, we haven't put Sky on camera in a while. For those watching in widescreen, we can do a larger view of the cat real quick. That is Sky Spot. For reference, I used to have a pair of Maine Coon brothers, and that cat tree is what is what they were first introduced to. That cat tree has been a fixture since I started having cats. So when Sky was introduced, he was... I think he was my fourth cat. I'm trying to remember. I think he's my fourth cat. That tree was still there, and he would share that tree. So the older the cats are in the group, the more likely they're to be up there. With the exception of Ember, who is always here if possible. Mason is eating. There's another one at the base of the cat tree. I just saw some movement over there. The cameras don't cover all of the ground. They don't cover all of the ground. Okay, we no longer set that. Calculate target, and if we were to call... Okay, does this leak? It's not leaking. I think... Interesting. In entity... Huh. What? Why did they stop moving? Thanks, White Wolf. We moved over to this piano music. When we were playing For Your Tranquility, that had music like this. And I and much of the audience liked it. So I had been trying to build a playlist. Is that a heart where, Lewis? Welcome back, Brax. And thanks for swinging through, dude. We didn't change the movement there. We tell each entity to move, and then each entity moves by just setting its own movement. White Wolf, I'm the proto-Nyanite. I am the first of the Nyanite line, which is the second product of the Catbot Corporation after the popularity of the Catbot, which is what the character in this game is based off of, is the Catbot. If you look at some of my earlier streams, you can actually see the Catbot when it was used in the broadcasts. Escape. We're still doing that. I don't know why they weren't moving that time. That's weird. So how about when we create them, now we're going to set all of the movement entities. Okay. Where am I located? I live in the United States. All of this is my own lore, Don. It originated when we first made our Noida mod, and it rolled from there. Okay. We're going to go into the entity, and we're going to change the movement to test move instead of that. And move needs to call self. It was a mod. It's for a game called Noida. Noida is a game whose tagline is its selling point, its sort of claim to fame is where every pixel is simulated. Every pixel on the screen has a material and has behavior for physical interaction. Ram, we are making a game, a Vampire Survivors game. Hello, Adam. And oof. Okay, so this movement is still super duper slow. Okay, we found the leak. I don't know why the self was a problem, but it seems like you can't clear that reference properly. I can say chat. I can see chat. There is a bit of a delay, folks. So assume that it can take upwards of 15 plus seconds for me to see chat, or for you to notice the reaction. It's not really much I can control. It depends on what the YouTube delay is. And sometimes when YouTube connects you to a live stream, it will connect you in the past, or your particular live stream will fall behind. I do try to react to chat, but especially when I am coding, I can get very distracted and locked in. So forgive me if it takes me a moment. Okay, so test movement.move is super duper slow. But why? Where are my cats? Ember is directly across from me. Sherbet is getting a drink. I don't know where Sammy is. Sky is almost certainly still in the cat tree. So why would test movement be slow? Because we're just iterating through the movement modifiers and telling each of them to move. And let's see. What are we adding? Random direction. Okay, let's not do that. We're going to target player. For those just joining, we are making a game, a Vampire Survivor style game. And part of the fun of this is I have been learning the Godot engine. It is a game development engine. So we can all learn along. A big part of programming is just like learning a new language, a new spoken language is a big part of it is using it, trying it. And I would appreciate it if anybody that's having a good time, if they like what they see, like and subscribe. It will help you see more of my content. It will help you see more content that you might like. That is how these algorithms work. If the system thinks you might watch it, it will try to show it to you. Let me target player. We get the player factory. We've changed target object so it can only be the player. Well, dude, it might be. Some of it depends on how much you watch and what you watch. If you watch other stuff, it might give you other stuff as well. Why is it so slow when we're doing this? Right, let's further experimentation. So we're going to move the movement logic out of the entity itself here. We're still going to call movement move. But we're going to take this out of here. And we're going to go into this logic here. And we're going to put, instead of setting its target movement here, we're going to set it there. Just so. Uh, 96. So it's still going to iterate. Okay, well, we know we know that this iteration is the problem. We know that this is the issue, so we go into each movement modifier. So we target the player, we get the player. We return a copy of the local target, but otherwise we get the target that we're passing in. The target is an entity that is either a direction or it is and or the player right now. At the moment, target object is always a player. We're iterating because there are multiple movement modifiers. There are, in general, at the moment, 2 movement modifier types. There's targeting and then there's actual movement. Targeting is stuff like what entity that you want to follow and what entity, like facing that entity, that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Let's look. One, welcome back, Adam. And Lewis, we'll be done when we're done. This is as much an opportunity for me to create something. I've always wanted to make a game, and I have finally decided, hey, I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to make a game. So that's what we're doing. So, you know, we're doubling up. We get to make a game and we get stream content. But we're not on a deadline for the creation of it. So I'm making it as good as I can. There's a fun fail safe in the Godot engine is anytime you reference a object that is part of a tree, you really want to do is instance valid. Because if you have a reference to a tree object, a node, and that object has been removed, just looking at it will make it explode. I wouldn't say finish it whenever. It's more of a, it's finished when it's finished. There are a lot of shorts to look at there, Adam. I have stopped making them, not because I intend to never make them again, but because I currently have time constraints. But I will eventually get to making more. We set the direction to be the same thing, and we return a new target object. I work well with urgency, dude, but if I don't need that deadline and I just want to make it better, I can just spend the time to make it better. But there's always the risk that with a deadline that you make a decision that is adequacy versus good. And I want it to be good. And since I have the time, I can make it good. That said, every now and then, it is useful for me to get a voice of reason that says, hey, isn't that good enough? Like last night, we just made the call, our rendering is good enough. Our collision and rendering, good enough. 3,000 objects operating cleanly, probably fine. So where is our issue coming from? Why is this so expensive? What if we remove the concept of a target and instead we just keep the information relevant to us? Speed is relevant to us, but local target is not. Target set is useful. So if we remove this, not that. Yes, we're coding a game, someone. We're coding a game. We're trying to make a Vampire Survivors style game. We are... we've got a performance hitch in the current stage of the game. So right now the only entities are the blobs, and we have a way to make the blobs move efficiently, but that's not the end state that we want to have. So if we go into our movement logic and we just skip this iteration, everything should move super fast. Yep. Look at that. Look at that. They're being generated. Our camera is zoomed out about 100%. We can see further. If we're standing right here, you can see the red tiles. If I'm standing on the red tile in the center of a block, the red tiles are the edge of the screen normally. And we can only see blobs that are within this circle. any blobs outside of that circle, you can see some flickering. Those are just not being drawn. Saves us some rendering time. Are you using a different account, or have you just changed your profile picture and title there, Shadow? Do be aware, if you change your account or account name or similar frequently, it will make it even harder for me to recognize you, so please forgive me when that happens. Why does that iteration cost so much? Okay, let's... What can we do? Yes, a whole lot of our work recently has been optimization. Yeah, iteration should this would normally be costly, but there's 3 things. Like this goes through 3 times. It's going over the course of an array, and it's calling one function on each of those. So from a code perspective, this should be this is a constant complexity. There's no there's no exponential element here. Movement modifiers are tiny. They contain a very limited amount of space of content. Okay, let's change it in the entity logic. We are going to set it to just be one thing that we iterate on. We're just going to target the player. We're going to iterate, but we're not going to do anything with it. We iterate, and then we go. So one entity. Can I see the cats? Let's switch and look at the cats. We have all 5 cats. Bloop. Okay, so we just have the one. Okay, this is extra weird. Okay. Perhaps it is target player that is expensive. So he's here. How about random direction? Oh, sorry. I was doing some code in the background, didn't mean to leave the camera. So, for those that are looking in widescreen, it will be different. So I'm going to describe them as where they're sitting. The one in the tree is Sky. He is the largest cat. The one with kind of like a tan fuzzy thing in the lower right corner that is filling most of the camera is Ember. She is the smallest cat. The camera is just really close. The one on the bed with the black blanket, it has a tan blanket folded on it and a big squishmallow pillow. The one on the tan blanket is Mason. The one on the squishmallow is Sammy. Then the one in the other tree next to a window is Sherbet. That is all 5 of my cats. So we're going to actually put this here, since Sherbet is remarkably visible. Target player, very expensive. But even target random direction, expensive. No movement modifiers, not expensive. Okay. We've got 4 entities. We're going to load all of them up. We're going to go into the movement object. We are not going to iterate. Oh, no. We are not going to iterate on them. Instead, we're just going to do nothing. We already did this test. Yes, we're using a PC, Lewis. Just calling move is expensive. Just calling move on each movement modifier is expensive. That's not clear, though. Okay. Movement modifiers for each one of them. We're going to change that. So we're going to make it so that there's 4 of the same movement modifier. We're going to do random direction 4 times. Or let's do it once. Just once was expensive. But we're going to go random direction. And we're just going to do this right away. That is very expensive. Okay, we're going to return a null. Doesn't matter. Still expensive. Why is this expensive? This is like a nothing. Dude, movement modifiers move the entity. That's what they do. So this right here is the same as what a movement modifier does. Because bullets can move in a different way. So monsters will only ever have 1 movement modifier. But a bullet might have... Lewis, I have explained this before. There are 3 streams going on. So I'm talking to somebody in a different stream. So I might have one thing that says move towards the player, but then at the same time I have another element that says do it in an S pattern. Backstory of the game, Adam, is based on the backstory of both my avatar as well as elements that are largely known to, at the moment, are largely known to people that have seen the Noida mod. But backstory of the character. My Discord has a summary of it, and there are some short form videos that show further elements of it. The problem is this is like a non-operator. Just passing this in seems to be a problem. What if we do null? Not even passing in a movement. At the rate we're going, we are going to have copying the target is expensive. This is expensive. Why is that expensive? Oh, that's strange. Okay. We initially create a target. We're going to get the calculated target once. Okay, so we're going to do this. We know that this isn't going to be cheap. We create a new target and we pass it in. Once we know what that target is, we don't want to copy them. We're going to do this. We're never going to copy it. We're doing these copies at the moment for reference for those that are generally familiar with the code. This is an object, so every reference to it is a pass-by reference. The targeting is important in other places. In the way that we've got this is if we create a group of 5 entities at once, we want them all to share the same targeting information initially. So if we create them and we say they're going to home in on an enemy or a player, they should all pick the same player or the same, like they should all pick the player or the same enemy to target. Since they all came into being at the same time. Just the way it's going to work. We may eventually decide to get rid of that, but the reason it's important is that we would then have to supply that same targeting information to each of them. Okay, so we're not copying. Hey there, Sans. So why is that expensive? Okay. Let's look at a target object. We're going to get rid of the get set on that. And we're going to restore the copies. I have a feeling we might have a bit of recursion going on. We're making a game. We're making a game. Where are we passing the nil? Right there. Okay, still expensive. Still expensive. Yeah. Yeah, we tested that dude and that changes it. That makes it fine. But the question is, I think we're going to have to do without target, is the thing. I think we're going to change it so instead, movement modifiers have a target direction and a target entity. And we're just going to remove that instead. I'm sorry, we're just going to move that. So instead of target, we're going to pass the direction and the entity. Yes. Each target would have... Okay, you know what? We're going to remove the idea that there is a target entity. And we're just going to relay these along. Okay. So instead of target, we are going to have... Yep, that's going to explode in a lot of places. Gotcha. Get target, set target, those don't exist anymore. Local target doesn't exist anymore. Thanks, Sans. It does not automatically switch someone. The trick with switching the cat cam is that there's not always going to be a cat on them. Would that be possible? Yes. Mechanically, that would be possible. In the future, I am going to be updating the way that the cat cams work in general, as well as what the cat cams are. Right now, they're a particular type of indoor security camera. I'm going to be using another one. Yes, Lewis, almost universally, stream time is nap time. I mean, they're cats. Almost universally, it's nap time. Okay. Oh, where did we have that movement modifier? We need a way to relay this. Do we actually need to relay that? So what's happening right now is we're fundamentally changing the old movement model. We still want to do this modular approach to the movement, but we're trying to excise the concept of a target entity because we don't want to have to copy it each time. Instead, we want to make it so that there is a container. That we can just relay this along. But the trick is we would then have to return it. Oh. Okay, no, we can still do this. Our target entity. It's an entity. 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 Correction. As a vector 2. And it does not return. We are just going to pass for now. And we are just going to pass for now. Vat var. Valkyr, now, I don't speak that language, and I will say I'm willing to translate once or twice. So if you are addressing me, please remember that I will only translate a limited number of times. I only speak English. I thought I had deep L. Deep L, there we go. So I do appreciate you joining us. Just keep in mind I won't be able to reply, you know? Does not return a target. Oh, right. That means we need to update all this stuff. Movement modifier. First, we're going to fix calculate target on all this stuff. Then random direction. Mob. Actually, no, we can fix all of these just by doing this. We're going to keep this one. Because we'll change that in a moment. Random direction, face target. Target. We're probably going to excise this guy entirely, but... the only reason, dude, that I was returning the copy is to negate pass by reference. But that was entirely because I was using the target object, and I think we can circumvent that. I think we can simplify. Pause. Today we are trying to reintroduce the idea of modular movement. And as a result of that, we have discovered that our modular movement was wildly inefficient on a very particular point, which casts into doubt the entire optimization operation that we are currently doing, but I'm going to ignore that for sanity's sake. Base target. Get rid of that because we don't have anything there. Okay. Broken here. Which means I don't have a target here. I have a var target entity, and I have a var target direction is a vector 2. Each time we calculate target, we are going to call our movement modifier calculate target with our target entity and our target direction. It's not going to return. And instead, we are going to set our target entity equal to movement modifier dot target entity and our target direction equal to movement modifier dot target direction. Okay. Then this is purely to store it so that we can pass it in to the next movement modifier for calculating the target. And when we call into... We're going to do the same thing here. Yes. We do the same thing each time. This essentially creates a loop. Each time we run through the movement modifiers, we get this and we relay them. That cat is Sherbet. Pause. He's the one that had a hurt paw until yesterday. We don't see a lot of him since he's not the one, he's not on the camera areas a lot, but this is his spot. He is the only one that sleeps there. Okay. We are getting some occasional hitches in FPS. But we're holding at just under 60 frames a second. That's pretty good. So now we're going to add some more movement modification. Target the player. So in target player, it's equal to player factory dot player. Player isn't an entity. Player is a mob body. idea. We're going to have a special one that's just move to player. This is going to be what a monster almost universally uses. Script, it inherits movement modifier. That. Call you move to player. So calculate target is going to do nothing special. Where's our raw movement modifier code here? In move, we are going to go into entity. We're going to grab. We're going to go into movement. We're going to grab this. And it's not going to use delta. It's going to use speed here. Your dog is famous, you say? Two is equal to that. Vector 2 is equal to that. Hello, Jamie. I mean, people like dog videos and similar. What games do I play? Currently, I am playing Ghost of Tsushima and Fallout 4. Fallout 4 in power trip mode, I'm just cheating and blowing stuff up. Ghost of Tsushima, I find fun. I am playing full-on assassination mode in that game. It's tons of fun. Okay, and so we are going to go into our entity, and when we are creating our movement logic, move to player. I might have to come up with a different naming convention for these. But prefix move, type of move. Prefix target, type of move. That kind of thing. Entity Move to player with a speed of 96. Don't need that. Ember has come to sit with me. If you mean me, pause, I started on YouTube several years ago. Yeah, it was the copying. It must have just been the cost of allocating space for an object. You know, nothing is free. $55. Calculate target does not need an entity. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. All right. Doing that, let's... Oops. Oh. Okay, we're still getting some hitches. I wonder if that's related to the number of things we're storing off before we're reusing them. Let's mess with that variable here. How about 100? Correct, folks. If you're watching on like your cell phone or something like that, especially though if you're watching on PC or similar, there are 3 viewpoints for the stream. There's Twitch, and there are 2 YouTube streams. One of them is in tall format, a 9:16 format, suited to holding a phone vertically. But if you'd like to see the full screen, the way it, like the full screen of the stream, then you can see that also on YouTube. Or Twitch, like I said. Both of those are in widescreen format. Or, you know, a 16:9 ratio. Okay, we're still losing frames here, but I don't know that that is because of this. Let's find out. It still is. It still is. There's some extra footwork going on still. This should be a pass by reference. It can be tricky like that, dude. It can be tricky like that. This is still costing us. This is still costing us a lot. Okay, how about... this? Okay, even that is more expensive. Why is this more expensive? I mean, I started this during the Unity made very questionable decisions period, dude. Additionally, Unity's compiling process makes it so I can't use the entirety of C#. They seem to update their mono compiler compatibility more often. And eventually I do want to be able to use things like YouTube and Twitch integrations. Welcome, PSS. And Ducko, this is a game development stream. We are coding a game. Today... Today's topic is, why is this so slow to do? Why is calling this method slower than what we were doing? Right, fine. And move to player. Instead of all of this, we're going to say that. Speed. And then we are going to do that, that, and that. Almost certainly, dude, but the question is where? So we know it's not this. We know it's not our pooling logic. My day is going well. Huh? The blue things are little bouncing blobs. Here, we can make things a little more visible for folks. We were doing this for debug purposes. Where's our camera creation? Here. You can see them more clearly this way. So our radius for visibility, or our method for calculating visibility, is not quite right. I think we can do better because the corners of the screen are not being shown, and that's not what we want. But this is plenty fast. Okay. All right, for science. We're going to duplicate this. Movement modifiers is an array of callables. Instead of that, we are going to say we don't care about this at the moment. Dot ball. Okay. 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 But how do we do this? How do we get these out of this model? Without making a bunch of extra calls. Yeah, that could work, dude. Just change the calculation. In view is a boolean. False. If in view, do this. Position dot x. Yes, pause. I did answer that. I have had a good day. Sherbet always manages to look super cozy, doesn't he? Of my cats, he is the most likely to be the one that contorts himself into weird positions while napping. Greater than x plus constants screen width divided by 2 plus 192. Then not. Oof, this would be a ridiculously long condition. All right. To global nodes dot get screen edge then their position as a vector 2. That. H.x plus layer position x plus 192. We don't want to say it's outside of a rectangle. Oh, what's going on here? All right, let's... 1 second. What's going on here? Add movement modifier attempted to push back a variable of type. Oh. Okay, okay. This still leaves us with our next question. We're holding it a steady 60 frames a second doing this. How do we get the target entity and direction out of this? We could make an object that passes those back. Okay, so now we're going to go into our target object. And we're going to fundamentally change this. It's not a node. Hey there, Super Games. Welcome. This is not a complicated type. It is just that. Then if we go into a movement modifier, this is going to return a target. Same with this. And it's going to, we're going to go into a target and we're going to say function init, and it's going to have entity to use is an entity. And use a vector 2. And that. Entity, direction, target dot new with that and that. Just so. And then our move to player is the only one that should have this. So move is going to return a target. Pass return. So we are going to say return target is equal to target dot new that. Direction equal to all right, dude. Thanks for joining. That, and then we are going to okay, then in movement, calculated target is equal to that. In that, callable. What we doing? What we doing? Hmm. Just a moment, folks. We'll be right back. Whoops, wrong button. And we're back. Okay, we can't call calculate target on it properly. I'm going to do that. Call it, we append it. Okay, let's try this. Oh, okay, okay. We get this right. We're making a game, Dee Dee. We're making a Vampire Survivors style game. Movement modifier is a thing. And it has a move call. So then if we look at new thing, and it should have a movement object. It's a test movement. Has a series of movement modifiers which are callables. And this callable is not, but it might contain a null. Bug. Move function is a callable. Lambda functions, yeah. How do I do a shout out? In what sense, King Doggo? Well, if you mean you would like... Well, in any event, welcome to the channel, King Doggo. Could make it a... All right. How about function, which is movement modifier. Oh no, that won't work. No, it still will. It still will. We would need... to do that. I shouldn't need to do that. Hey there, Venting. Welcome. Horrible. Modifier, and it will be the move method and the move function. Oh, our cats are missing. Let's find them. Where Sherbet got to. We'll switch it over to the bed. That's a reliable spot. Usually see a... It's kind of what we're doing. Kind of what we're doing. Modifiers does exist. Yeah. Why are these nulls? How are they nulls? Because when the entity is created, it should create a movement object, and that should get loaded with these as a result. Oh. Because this is going away. do us any good. We can't do that yet. That's okay, venting. It is the experience. We all get to learn together. So we can't do anything. Wonder if this will do a closure. Earn a function which that which calls Hey there, Drew. Okay, and we're gonna call get move here. And copy this. Callable.call. Hey, and thus they do nothing. Okay, so now we go into move to player. We're going to do the same thing here. Oh. Hello, Horo. Welcome. Okay. So it calls speed, and we are setting speed, right? Hey there, Snake. Lewis, I'm not going to say hello and goodbye if you keep popping in and out of the channel. Let me just remind everybody. Please do not expect constant acknowledgement, especially if it's hello, goodbye over and over. Because, Lewis, the last 6 messages in the short form were you saying goodbye, I've got to go, bye, goodbye, I've got to go, bye. And the prior 2 were you saying you're back, followed by somebody else saying hi. Please don't do that. Pass in the speed. So this is at the time we create the callable, and we have the speed value. Is this a closure scenario or no? No. Oh, no, it might be. It's fine to say hello, Liquid Snake. It is fine to say hello. It is what I am referring to is constantly notifying me that you have left and arrived, especially for folks that are scrolling in and out on cell phones. Hello, Filer. Greeting is fine. Saying you've got to leave is fine. I don't need to know every single time. Speed is 96. Okay. Here they come. We are slowing way down. Why are we slowing down? Okay, we're not going to get the movement modifier here. We're going to go in and we're going to make this the callable. Take you, and we're going to take you, and we're going to say movement modifier dot get move. That. Yeah, we've got to still slowing down, still slowing way down. Faster, but still a problem. Just the act of calling into this is a problem. Let's see. We start, they're moving. Do this. No objects leaking. For those joining us, we are making a game. We are attempting to get modular movement in place. Movement calculated by a series of variables we pass in when the object is created. So let's say we, again, the example is, let's say the object moves in a straight line by default, then we add another type of movement to it and say it moves in an S-curve. So the composite of it is that it moves in a straight line, but it also now moves in the S pattern. For the most part, it would move mostly in an S pattern, probably a little elongated because it's already moving in a straight line. I think more telling would be it homes in on a target, but it moves in an S-curve. So we want to be able to have that stacked out, but this method of calling things is not working. As in, why is this slow? We have a direction each time. We're getting the direction. We are then eventually adjusting that by delta over and over. But it slows way down once they begin moving. Let's look at the profiler. Where are we spending most of our time? Just huge amounts of time in entity move in movement. But why are those so expensive? Why is this any more expensive? Yes. And if I calculate them without going through this loop, without going through this callable pattern, without iterating on them like this, so let's just not call any of this. We'll just do this. This is doing precisely what they're already doing. "61 frames a second, there are 3,000 slimes moving." If instead I do this, which is ultimately doing the exact same thing, where we update it. In this fashion. Yeah, this is exactly the same logic. So why is this so much more expensive to call this function to do it each time? Because by this point, this is just a function that's been passed in. Okay. Experiment. Callable. We're not going to iterate. We're just going to do one of them. Not there. Slows down. Calling out to a function here, period, is too expensive. But why? Okay, further experimentation. Calculated target option doesn't work. And this is the exact same thing as a movement modifier, move to player. Just like this. Same thing, the movement modifier for move to player is doing exactly this. No. Dodd, I am trying to make a Vampire Survivor style game, and what we are doing is trying to figure out why a particular form of movement pattern isn't working. Even within the same object, calling into this is creating a problem. say, what if it's 96. Hello, Fred. You may ask questions. Easiest way to ask a question is just to ask the question. Don't ask for permission to ask the question. That way you don't have a double delay. Doesn't return a target. The creation of the target object. The creation of that object is fundamentally expensive. This is expensive. Why this type of game? I like Vampire Survivors, and it seems like a straightforward thing to do. Yeah, like the easier things are to make platformers. Most of the game engines have all kinds of default logic for creating platformers, but I don't like platformers. The core concepts in the game are things that have been rattling around in my head since we did a Noida mod way back. And a lot of those concepts are things that have led to like this avatar. And as far as why, like I've programmed a lot in the past and I've always wanted to make a game, but I've never actually set out to really do it. And so I decided now was the time, about 40 some stream days ago. My favorite type of games, I like incremental games, primarily like RPGs that let you level up, and I don't like it when they stop letting you level. I like numbers to go up meaningfully. There are a lot of idle games that are based around that, but they eventually reach a point where the incremental advancements are too small to feel good. If we remove the concept of creating a target, then we are moving faster. So if we change it so that every entity just reacts to what is already happening to the thing. So we could have logic that is like face player or something like that, but this wouldn't allow us to have logic like target a random creature and have that be preserved cleanly. Okay. Because doing this such that it returns a target is expensive. So we're just going to create a target object here. And it slows way down. Why do they stop? Because they can't step over each other. And we're spawning way more of them than you normally would. Here's more of a rational example. This is more of the kind of thing that you would see. We're making them spawn really fast in order to stress the system. By spawning them 50 at a time, we're maximizing the amount of processing that is happening. Not only are they moving in large numbers, but they're also having to try to navigate around each other. You can see around the edge of the screen, they're kind of like stuck on each other. They're all trying to find their own space to move in. You would not do this normally. That's too many to spawn at once. We would spawn a whole bunch of them incrementally, but not simultaneously. I'm gonna look up something real quick here. I don't want it to be a class. Doesn't seem like it. Yes, so by default, right now, what's happening is they try to move around each other. There are currently 3,000 blobs trying to chase me, but they're also trying to move around any blobs next to them. That's why you're getting this kind of ripple effect while I'm moving, is both from the animation and from the fact that, like, they're slowing way down. Like this giant clot here. It's normally you wouldn't see them piled up like this, because at this, like, in actual gameplay, should we ever get there, if I were to do this, I would lose the game almost immediately. Like, they wouldn't disappear when they touch me, they would be killing me. So the question is, how can I do this such that I can still pass these values in? Could I just rely on calculate target being the thing? Okay, what if calculate target is the one that returns target, and that I don't iterate over them in the same fashion? Once we get to the very end of the algorithm, that's now the permanent thing, and it just remembers that. So if we go into a movement modifier, calculate target returns a target entity. This is apparently stupid slow. I don't like that. Why is this slow? This confuses me. I'm going to have to look up something as far as speeding this up. But if calculate target is the thing that gives the target back, and we only do that once to get target entity in direction. So in a movement modifier, we return this, but move doesn't. Move just does its thing. And then in move to player, we don't return a target. Movement modifier could then store its own information. If you have a question, just fire away. This times speed. What is my model based off of? So the entire background of this game is based off of my character lore in general. My character lore is the Catbot Factory. Catbot Factory initially produced a product called the Catbot. It is a small domestic robot that is meant to help around the house. The Catbot was of limited functionality. They aren't terribly intelligent. And kind of clunky. If you look at some of my prior videos, my much older ones, you can see the Catbot. They are, in fact, they are what you see here. This little thing in the center is a Catbot. Little TV screen cat-eared thingy. Train of thought gone. Catbot Corporation, after the relative success of the Catbot, decided that they were going to task their lead designer with the creation of a new, improved domestic robot, one that was more intelligent and capable, and they designed the Nanotype, of which I am the prototype of, the original. Continuing to use the proprietary material, the nano fluid. Something that they have not released any sort of details on, but is definitely safe for the consumer. They created the nanotypes and were about to launch them, but they decided in their wisdom that it was a better idea to leverage the original batch of nanotypes to run the factory, saving on labor. And in a completely consensual and non-destructive way, the lead designer gave me the engram of his mind to allow me to run the factory and continue to iterate on the nanotypes. And so we have continued to produce them in a way that is still in line and under the direction of Catbot Corporation, as far as any local politicians or regulators need to know. This will be a playable game, Blue. We're making a Vampire Survivor style game, but we're still a long ways from completion. We don't need get move. We're just going to call movement. And then in the movement logic, we go up here, and we're not going to use callables. We are going to use the entities themselves. We call calculate target, which creates a target object. We do this a grand total of once. Then we're going to call this. We don't use a calculated target. Instead, we call movement modifier.move. Just so. So there was that initial lurch. Okay. The creation of that target object is very expensive. What if for each of them in a movement modifier, instead of calculate target, we're going to say get target entity. We do this. And this returns an entity. By default, it returns null. That will be a problem. You should never call this without. Link, I mean, I could have a link to the stream in the description. I could do that. And hello, Jorn. Hello, Tass. Modifier can store them itself. Calculate target, we're not going to call anymore. This is too expensive. Tass, what we've learned is creating a new instance of a class is fantastically expensive. Even if this is all that class is, doing this is stupid expensive. Why? I don't know. So we're going to be sidestepping that. We're gonna move around it. We're going to do this in 2 steps. This one returns a vector 2. By default, this one will just return what it was passed in. There we go. And it will return what it was passed in. There we go. So instead of dealing with a target, we're going to make 2 individual calls. You'd think this would be bad. Hey there, Mod. Welcome. So once again, we're not using the target object. Instead, during target calculation, we are going to call into each one and say movement modifier, this and this, get rid of you. Target entity. The fact that these are called in sequence could be a problem. But we're going to make the assumption that getting what entity you're aiming at should take priority to getting what direction you're moving in. Call calculate target. And we don't need a target object because that its existence could be a problem. Move to player. Modifier, we do this. We don't need to do that for now. Here we go. D1, start creating and deleting them. Okay, still potentially an issue. We're still slowing down a lot. Let's get our debugger open right away here. We are going to look at for here, we're going to get the frames to drop. We jump back over real quick. Clear. Frame time spiked. I really wish there was a better way to show this list such that it wasn't popping all over the place. Frame time going up to like 30 is still going to be an issue for it, but we're still capping that pretty well. Where is it costing us, though? Very much. We're not generating a huge number of errors. Okay, so the blobs are currently a placeholder. They will appear elsewhere in the game. The nano blobs will still appear somewhere. But the enemies in this case are largely going to be starting with things like local law enforcement and spreading up to military, kind of in your GTA wanted level sort of behavior. Frame time, just get our physics frame time. Entity movement is occasionally spiking like crazy here. But move to player isn't doing anything special. If we go into movement, and instead of iterating over these, we just call it directly, like so. We do that. Okay, it's still slowing down. Let's... Still slow. Where's our slowdown now? I wish we had a reference value. Physics frame time is a fixed value. Processing time super low. The blobs are really just a placeholder so that we can get the core stuff in there. They are sprites I can render and that I have ready. Most of the time is in our physics call. I mean, that makes sense. It's what we're doing the most of. We're not spending much time at all rendering. Why are there 10,000 objects? Do we have a memory leak happening? No, it's holding steady there. Navigation agents is holding steady. We are still freeing everything appropriately. So we start out okay. And it decays as soon as I start moving or as soon as we start really deleting things. Let's have the entities we're going to add a self-destruct to the entities where every 10 seconds we cull spawn rate of them from the front. Add things, remove the list of them, then we go through and in spawn rate. Int is equal to 0. I is less than spawn rate. And is less than things dot size. Move thing by thing at things high. Since delete. This equals delta. Time since delete is greater than 10. We're going to hold still, and every 10 seconds we're going to delete 50 of them. Okay. That's way more than we should be deleting. Oh. I should change I. Oops. All right, every second we make 50. So let's say every 2 seconds we remove 50. Still a net gain. We're doing some performance testing there, Lan. We're doing some performance testing. This is not every second. We are doing it every physics process. Zero. Delete is equal to time since delete plus 1. We do here. We increase it by 1 and it's already 1, then it'll be 2, so we're going to do mod 2. And time since delete is now an int. Every other tick we delete 50. Okay. Move to player. We are going to take this in here and we're going to go into movement. We are culling the movement logic down to bare minimum. Okay. Then in entities creation, we never call calculate target. Just the creation and deletion of them right now is super expensive. It's nothing to do with the movement logic at the moment. We've cleaned up the movement logic down to its bare minimum. And we are leaking objects. I'll remove the world. And we are generating entities again. Okay. We don't do any of this. Phase. Okay, this is where we're leaking areas. Nope. We shouldn't be actually leaking objects, is the thing. Oh, right there. Right there. No. That was just frames per second. Because we're going to add 50, remove 50, add 50, remove 50. And we're constantly culling them. If we go back to the callable model and we don't actually store off the actual entities. Callables is an array of callables. We'll keep that. We don't actually need it. Okay, I should be able to say movement modifier and its move function. And we make sure in the entity that we're never calling anything else. Yep, we don't call calculate. So we don't need to worry that that will go haywire. We're never adding them there. Immediately null. Okay. If we store it off whenever this happens, hey Fraggy. Well, this is the game world. Oh. Well, let's try to narrow some stuff down here. In test render, I think it's exit tree. When it's about to leave. Okay. Or thing in things. Thing dot remove. Still have an explosion here. Oh. Thing dot remove, things dot erase thing. Things to delete dot append thing. Thing in. I'm just making sure of something here. Hey there, is it Mitch or is it Mish? This is important to have. But we still have a entity clearing problem during it. So after about 6,000 things have been added or removed, we've got an issue in our frames per second. Physics process is taking up too much time on the regular, but there's got to be more. TestRender.physics, entity move. this cascade here. All of my cats are domestic short hairs except for Sky, who is a domestic long hair. The two that are visible are Mason and Sammy. Frame time is too much. Where are we spending? We're spending most of our time in script functions. And it's mostly in test render physics. Test render move is a reasonable portion, so it's all in this movement logic. Every time we call move, which is actually move to player, we are calling this. This is the only relevant thing. So in an entity, we're setting its target movement. Here. Then so we get our speed. When it's being told to move, we calculate the movement. Then we set its speed. So let's, if we never do any movement. We're on like stream day 40 of doing this. Doesn't matter, just removing them is part of the problem. At least 3 hours a day on average. A couple of days it's been like 2.5. Some days it's been way longer. We're learning the toolkit, we're building kind of a core function, and we're spending a lot of time on optimization. Welcome back, Lewis. Each entity gets a movement object. Okay. What if it doesn't get a movement object? Just so. Never adding these. And we're never doing that movement. It starts to decay, but it starts to decay later. We don't leak. Correct, Tess. Maximum performance. We want this thing operating at about 60 frames a second, regardless of what we're doing. We don't want it to slow down because this is the kind of game that will inevitably have so much going on screen at all times that if it slows down because things get busy, then it's always going to be at like 10 frames a second, and that's not what we want. Well, it's okay if it gets that way if you do something bonkers. If you get something that is really cool and explodey, it's okay if it slows down. Because then you can point at that and say, look how much I slowed the game down, isn't that cool? That's pretty much how we played the game Noita, and that's what we want to recreate here, is that feel of, I made something awesome. Okay, if we just have them move inward then. During entity movement, we're going to call move, and it's going to move by itself. We have not used a movement object at all. We're going to multiply by delta. We're doing okay. Okay, it's deletion logic. There's something going wrong with the logic that removes them. But yeah, we're doing okay. We're doing physics optimization. Let's move here. Right? Cleanup is still good. Yeah, slimes are something that we're going to be using, the little bouncy blob guys, but we're using those because we're in the performance and optimization stage of the game development process. We're trying to get the baseline working really well. Okay, so moving doesn't matter. Welcome back. It's the deletion that's mattering. Like, the final cleanup of these things is mattering. Everything should be an object. Am I just stupid? Don't answer that. But I'm thinking it. Okay. Let's try this. Test render. Thing.free. Entity is an object. Okay, well, that wasn't it. Oh, wait. Is it? How do I do that? We want it to fully go away. A long time, Devin. We're at least 120 hours into the process. Fred, that is unfortunate if true. Though dropping into an arbitrary stream and calling it out, I'm not sure what your motivation for that is. This feels like something that is either personal enough that you shouldn't be sharing it with the internet, or is something that you're doing to try to get attention. In either of those cases, doesn't seem like something you should be sharing. I was thinking it might be garbage collection on an object. I don't know why you're saying sorry, Devin. I was referring to Fred Uli. Always appreciate the concept of donating. Do not feel like you have to. We're making a Vampire Survivors style game. For the general vibe, chiptune would probably be where we're going to start. But we might go somewhere else entirely. We're calling free on the objects anytime we free them. But our FPS is still decaying. It's probably not memory leak territory then. Nodes is limited to whatever we've created in here for the most part. I mean, we're managing to hold pretty steady there. It's still wobbling around, but that's an issue. Because what that implies over time is that we're always going to be hemorrhaging here. Okay, so it is not the freeing of the object that is a concern. And we are cleaning up at the end of them. Rendering code, we're spending most of our time in physics. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to spawn them one at a time. Okay, we can't have this ever hitting 0. If this hits 0, that's a problem. It's generally a pretty chill stream, Don. Even when we're gaming, we try to do a lot of chatting. That's why we favor a lot of narrative games. Things where we can just kind of stop and talk. Where's our buffer? Shape pools should never be hitting 0. That's a definite problem if we're hitting 0. Hey there, Jared. Right, pool. Never hit 1. We don't ever want there to be a scenario where there is a delete immediately called such that we get the same. Let's add a constant for that. Pool. And we'll go into our canvas pool as well. What if we're thinking about the pool concept wrong? We should never empty it. We should cycle it. We're freeing them if it goes over limit. If instance, pool minimum, we pop the front, otherwise we create one. There we go. Immediate spawn and delete be useful. So it's okay for things to spawn and delete. The thing that I said should never hit 0 is that is the number of saved shapes and canvases that we have. We never want a given shape to be released. I'm sorry, we don't ever want the last shape to be released followed by us grabbing one, because there's a risk of the same identifier being used. The identifier that was just released to be in use again. That creates a problem. What this is that we're using the same one over and over again. Okay. Go faster. Okay, so this is safe, but the deletion is still causing a problem. Could we save these objects? When we initially create one, we set all of this stuff. But we could reuse it. All of this could be reused as long as we are releasing it each time. And that would save us from creating and deleting entities super fast. The same way with movement objects in Similar. We don't want to make a new object over and over. This is still costing us way too much. Okay. Let's run with that idea. Let's run with that idea next stream. All right. All right. I was hoping to run to do a little bit of a longer stream, but I didn't get started in time. So we're gonna stop right about on time today. Hopefully, I will be able to do more or longer streams going forward, but generally that means I want to start sooner. Some point in the future, I do want to be getting back to our gaming streams, kicking off earlier in the day. Those are usually going to be tall form only. More people come through that stream. Someday I will have access to fiber internet. Catbot Corporation is skimping on the cost of running infrastructure out here. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Those of you that joined us for the first time, if you haven't already and would like to see more content like this, remember to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. In general, if you like the stream, remember to like it, comment, all of that kind of stuff. All of the VODs are kept on the channel if you want to watch prior stuff. I do go on Twitch, but the VODs aren't kept there. And as a reminder, if you like the stream but you wish it was in wide format, my coding streams are always in wide and tall formats. You can find both of the streams on my homepage. But again, thank you all for joining today. The next scheduled stream is going to be on Tuesday. That doesn't mean I might not do one tomorrow, but I usually don't stream on Mondays and Thursdays. So either way, I hope I catch you all on the next broadcast, and have a good rest of your day.